chosen one. You are not hearing this by accident. Heaven scheduled this moment, and your spirit was drawn here because the veil is thinning and your timing is exact. The Lord is preparing a supernatural shift in your life, and yes, this includes a divine wealth transfer that will shock your environment and silence every doubt. But hear me, before God releases increase, He restores alignment. Your body is His temple, and what you consume can either amplify your discernment or muffle your divine signal. As it is written, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Today, that ignorance ends. Chosen one, hear me clearly. What is about to happen in your life will not be unlocked by effort alone, but by alignment. I have watched too many anointed ones pray with sincerity, fast with intensity, and still feel like the heavens are quiet at the very moment they need direction most. And the enemy loves that confusion, because confusion delays obedience, and delayed obedience delays harvest. But tonight, heaven is intervening. You are not here to be entertained. You are here because God is recalibrating you for a supernatural transfer. And the first place He touches is not your bank account. It is your temple. Because the way you carry power is not only in your spirit, it is also in the vessel that hosts it. And some of what you have been eating has been pulling you down into heaviness when you were meant to rise into clarity. Anointed one. I'm not talking about fear. I'm talking about discernment. There is a difference. Fear says everything is dangerous. Discernment says not everything is for you. And if you have ever felt that strange fog after a meal, that sudden irritation, that sleep that doesn't restore you, that heaviness that makes prayer feel like pushing through wet cement, your spirit wasn't imagining it. I know what it is to sit down with a plate that looked normal and then wonder why my mind became noisy, why my peace became thin, why I couldn't hear God the way I heard Him yesterday. I used to blame myself. I thought I was failing spiritually. Then I started noticing patterns. Certain foods didn't just affect my stomach, they affected my sensitivity, my patience, my dreams, my ability to stay steady under pressure. And I realized something: when you are chosen, the small things aren't small. Your body is part of your assignment. Chosen. The reason this matters now is because you are standing on the edge of increase. I'm not just saying that to excite you. I'm saying it because many of you have been seeing repeating confirmations, strange doors, opening unusual favor opportunities that feel too timed to be coincidence. That is not random. That is the language of divine timing. But the enemy will try to sabotage the moment before the miracle, not by stopping God, but by dulling you. If he can keep you tired, inflamed, distracted, and spiritually numb, he can make you miss a conversation, misread a person, ignore a warning, or take a shortcut that costs you years. And when God is preparing a wealth transfer, it often comes through instruction, through precision, through being in the right place with a clear spirit. The blessing is not only what arrives, it is the wisdom to steward it. That's why you're being called to cleanse, to simplify, to become sharp again, because your next season requires sensitivity. Anointed one. I need you to hear this without shame. This is not about perfection. This is about partnership. You're not being condemned, you're being invited. There are foods that carry heaviness because of how they are processed, how they are treated, how they are rushed, how they are filled with things your body was never designed to carry. And for the average person, they feel nothing. But for you, it's different. You feel everything. You pick up atmospheres. You sense people's hidden intentions. You discern shifts before they happen. That means your system is wired for the subtle. So when you put dense things into a sensitive vessel, it does what density always does. It weighs down what was made to soar. I'm not here to hand you a list and make you religious about food. I'm here to awaken your awareness. Start paying attention to what steals your peace. Notice what makes you spiritually sleepy. Notice what makes you crave more, even when you're full. That's not just appetite. Sometimes it's bondage wearing a harmless label. Chosen one. There is a reason Scripture says in a simple way that our bodies are temples. That isn't poetic language, it is prophetic design. Temples are not built for clutter. Temples are built for presence, and presence is what unlocks provision. When you're clear, you move differently. When you're clear, you negotiate differently. When you're clear, you don't settle for counterfeit relationships, and you don't sign agreements out of desperation. When you're clear, you recognize the door that God has opened, and you walk through it with boldness. I've lived through seasons where I thought my breakthrough was delayed by people, when in reality, my breakthrough was delayed by my own fog. The moment I honored my temple, my discernment returned. My dreams sharpened. My energy stabilized, and opportunities started lining up like dominoes. So I'm speaking over you now. Heaviness is breaking. Confusion is lifting. Your spirit is being restored to its original signal. And as you begin to remove what is not for you, you will feel the shift first in clarity, then in confidence, and then in provision. Chosen one. I want you to understand something that most people will never even consider. Not every battle against you is loud. Some of the most strategic resistance comes disguised as normal. Normal breakfast, normal snacks, normal cravings, normal convenience. But for an anointed one, convenience can become a trap if it steals sensitivity. I've seen it in my own life. There were seasons I thought I was under attack, because my mind felt crowded, my patience was thin, and my prayer life felt dry. I rebuked everything except the one thing I kept repeating daily. Then, one day, I started tracking the pattern like a watchman. I noticed how certain foods made me irritable for no reason, how my sleep became shallow, how I would wake up with anxiety that didn't match my life. That's when it hit me. My spirit was willing, but my temple was overloaded. And the moment I started cleaning up what I was allowing in, the noise started leaving. Anointed one. The reason this matters right now is because God doesn't just bless you with money, He blesses you with timing, instruction, and accuracy. And accuracy requires clarity. You are entering a season where one conversation can change your income. One decision can open a door you've prayed for years. One introduction can lead to supernatural promotion. But when your system is inflamed and your discernment is dulled, you can misread people. You can ignore a warning. You can rush what God told you to walk through slowly. That's why heaven is sounding this alert. You cannot eat everything and still expect to carry everything. You cannot carry divine direction on a body that is constantly fighting what you keep feeding it. This isn't about chasing trends. This is about your assignment. Your breakthrough is spiritual, but it travels through practical channels, and God is bringing you into alignment so the transfer can land without destroying you. Chosen one, pay attention to what I'm about to say because it's simple, but it's prophetic. The enemy doesn't always try to stop your blessings. Sometimes he tries to make you too heavy to hold them. He tries to keep you reactive, exhausted and distracted so that when your season opens, you show up half-present. You smile, but you don't shine. You work, but you don't move with authority. You have opportunities, but you don't have confidence. That is not your portion. When God is preparing increase, He also prepares endurance, focus, and emotional stability. I've watched people receive money and lose peace, receive promotion and lose their family, receive attention and lose their purity. And I've learned this: if your inner world isn't protected, your outer world can't be sustained. So yes, chosen one, you are stepping toward financial overflow, but God is also teaching you how to stay clean enough to discern what is from Him and what is bait. Pointstinda, this is where your sensitivity becomes your advantage. Start treating your body like a spiritual instrument, because it is. Notice how you feel after certain meals. Notice your cravings. Some cravings aren't hunger. Some cravings are your nervous system begging for relief, your mind searching for a dopamine hit because something in you feels drained. I've been there late at night, reaching for the quick thing because the day was heavy, and then I would wonder why the next morning felt foggy, why my focus was scattered, why even worship felt distant. When I finally started choosing simple foods, clean water and rest like it was obedience, I felt something shift. I would sit down to pray, and the presence would come faster. I would read and understand faster. I would dream and remember. I would walk into rooms and sense things again. That's when I realized clarity is not only a gift, it's a lifestyle. And lifestyle is where breakthroughs are protected. Chosen one, I'm going to speak this over you plainly. There are people watching you who don't even know why they're drawn to you. There are doors that are already preparing to open. There is favor moving behind the scenes, contracts being positioned, opportunities being arranged, and the only thing that can sabotage it is you losing your signal. So you're going to become intentional, not extreme, not fearful, intentional. You will begin to separate from what lowers you. You will choose what strengthens you. You will stop feeding what inflames your mind and weakens your spirit. And as you do, you will notice how fast God begins to respond to your alignment. It won't be forced, it will feel like the fog is lifting, and when the fog lifts, you will see what you couldn't see before: who is real, what is urgent, what is a distraction, and where the money is coming from. Anointed one. This is how the transfer often begins, not with a check falling from the sky, but with your discernment returning, with your confidence stabilizing, with your intuition coming back online, with your yes becoming cleaner and your no becoming stronger. Scripture hints at this principle without making it complicated. Wisdom and obedience protect increase, and you are being trained for increase. So take this as your first act of agreement with heaven. You will stop treating your temple casually. You will stop ignoring the signals. You will stop calling spiritual dullness normal. You will rise. You will sharpen. You will cleanse. And when you do, chosen one, you will feel the atmosphere around you respond, because your spirit was never broken, it was only burdened. Now the burden is lifting. Chosen one, now let me take you deeper, because the warning isn't vague, it's specific. And when heaven speaks specifically, it's because what's coming next in your life requires precision. You are not entering a season where you can afford to be spiritually sleepy. You're entering a season where you will need to hear God, quickly discern people accurately, and move with a calm authority that confuses the enemy. That is why this message feels intense. It's not meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. Anointed one. I'm going to say this with tenderness and truth. Your body has been trying to speak to you. That random heaviness, that sudden brain fog, that inner agitation that hits after certain foods, that feeling where you're full but you don't feel nourished. I used to push past those signals and tell myself it's not that serious. But the more I grew spiritually, the more I realized the sensitivity was increasing for a reason. The closer you get to your assignment, the more your spirit refuses what your old life could tolerate. That is not weakness, that is elevation. Some of you have been blaming warfare when God has been pointing to a doorway in your own habits. Because deliverance is not only casting out spirits, sometimes deliverance is shutting the gate. Chosen one. There are 5 gates. I want you to watch 5 areas where many anointed ones unknowingly lose their sharpness. Not because they are careless, but because they are busy, stressed, and just trying to get through the day. First, pay attention to foods that are overly engineered to hijack craving. The kind that makes you reach for more even when you're satisfied. The kind that leaves you tired, not strengthened. For most people, it's just snacking. For you, it can become a spiritual numbing agent. It doesn't have to be demonic to be destructive. If it dulls you, it's not for you. I remember realizing that certain quick foods didn't just steal my energy, they stole my restraint. I would feel less disciplined after them, less patient, less clear. And I had to admit, if something makes me less myself, it's not neutral. Second, chosen one. Watch what carries the imprint of distress. I'm not here to debate anyone's lifestyle. I'm here to talk about spiritual sensitivity. There are foods that come from environments of chaos, fear, or harshness, and the anointed often feels that heaviness more deeply. You may not be able to explain it, but you feel off after certain meals. Your heart feels tight. Your spirit feels crowded. Your compassion feels harder to access. That matters because your mission requires a soft heart and a strong spine. If something hardens your heart, it is interfering with your calling. Third, pay attention to grains and processed bread-heavy patterns that leave you cloudy. Some of you eat and then you can't focus. You eat and your mind becomes noisy. You eat and your sleep becomes restless. Listen, your life is too prophetic to live in constant fog. You are not here to survive. You are here to discern. When your mind is clear, your prayers become direct. When your mind is clear, you stop second-guessing yourself. When your mind is clear, you can sense what God is saying in the quiet. I've had seasons where I thought I needed more motivation, when in reality, I needed less fog. And when I simplified what I was eating, my focus returned like a light switching on. Fourth, chosen one. Watch what coats you. Some foods don't just weigh you down, they make you feel spiritually covered, like your emotions are thicker and your sensitivity is muted. You feel less receptive, less tender, less responsive to worship, less moved by truth. If you've ever felt like your heart went numb for no reason, examine what you've been consuming. The heart is not only a feeling, it's a spiritual instrument. And when God is preparing a transfer, He protects the heart first, because what you carry next will require purity of motive. Fifth, and this one, is subtle. Watch what is spiritually dead. Food with no life left in it. Eating that keeps you alive, but doesn't make you feel alive. The anointed one doesn't just need calories. You need clarity. You need stability. You need peace. There is a difference between being full and being fueled. And if your daily rhythm keeps you full but not fueled, you will struggle to maintain the spiritual altitude that your season demands. Now, chosen one here is where this becomes prophetic and practical. I'm not asking you to become extreme overnight. I'm asking you to become honest. Do a short, intentional reset. A simple window of surrender. Even 7 days of cleaner choices can reveal what you've been tolerating. Keep it humble. Keep it quiet. Keep it between you and God. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to your mood. Pay attention to your patience. Pay attention to how quickly you hear direction. And if you have a medical condition, be wise and get support, because God is not calling you into harm. He's calling you into alignment. Chosen one, you are being refined because your next season is heavy with purpose. The wealth transfer you've been sensing is not only money, it's access, it's favor, it's doors, it's authority. And God does not pour new wine into a vessel that's leaking. So He's sealing you, He's sharpening you, He's cleansing you. And the moment you begin to honor your temple with intention, you'll notice it. The fog lifts, your spirit breathes, and your discernment returns like a signal coming back online. Chosen one, let me shift this into something you can actually live out day by day, because prophetic words are not meant to stay in the clouds. They are meant to land in your routine. And this is where many anointed ones miss it. They love the revelation, but they don't build the structure that holds the revelation. Heaven can speak to you, but if your body is constantly inflamed, overstimulated and exhausted, you will keep receiving the message through distortion. You will hear it, but you won't hold it. You will get a glimpse, but you won't keep the clarity long enough to obey. That ends now. Chosen one. I want you to picture your spirit like a radio tuned to a holy frequency. When you are aligned, the channel comes in clean peace in your chest, wisdom in your thoughts, discernment in your gut. But when you keep feeding your temple what dims you, it's like static returns. The station is still there. God hasn't moved. The signal is just being interrupted. And because you are chosen, you can't ignore that static the way other people do. They can eat anything, scroll anything, sleep any way, and still function. But you were not built for function. You were built for fire. You were built for presence. You were built for precision. So when you feel that heaviness after certain foods, it's not you being dramatic. It's your assignment refusing what can't come into the next season. Anointed one. I'm going to share a simple practice that changed my life, not because it was mystical, but because it was honest. I started asking myself one question after every meal: do I feel clearer or heavier? That's it. I stopped making it complicated. I stopped moralizing food. I stopped trying to prove something. I just listened. Some meals made me feel like my mind opened, like my patience stabilized, like my spirit breathed. Other meals made me feel like I needed to lie down, like my emotions got darker, like irritation rose for no reason. And when I started tracking it, I couldn't unsee it. Certain foods were not just affecting my stomach, they were affecting my discernment. And the moment I respected that, I started seeing breakthroughs that weren't dramatic, but were undeniable. My conversations became smoother, my decisions became sharper, my confidence returned, and I stopped second-guessing myself. Chosen one, you are not being called to diet. You are being called to consecrate. That's different. Diet says, I want a result. Consecration says, I want to be set apart. And when God is preparing a transfer, He often calls you into a consecrated season, not to deprive you, but to protect you. Because what is coming is not small. If you are sensing sudden doors, unusual favor, or money starting to move in unexpected ways, then hear this: your season is shifting. And in a shifting season, you cannot keep eating what anchors you in an old vibration. You cannot keep feeding what keeps your spirit dragging behind your destiny. Anointed one, here is what surrender looks like in everyday life. It looks like choosing water before sugar when your mind feels scattered. It looks like simplifying your meals when you notice heaviness. It looks like reducing what is overly processed, overly engineered, and overly stimulating, because stimulation can mimic spiritual energy. Some of you think you're motivated, but you're actually just wired. You think you're on fire, but you're actually just inflamed. And inflammation makes you reactive. It makes you impatient. It makes you impulsive. That's why the enemy loves it, because impulsive people make costly choices. But a clear, chosen one is dangerous to darkness. A clear, anointed one cannot be easily manipulated. Chosen one. I want to talk about cravings for a moment, because this is where many people get stuck in shame. Cravings are not proof you are weak. Cravings are often proof you are depleted. Stress depletes you. Lack of sleep depletes you. Emotional battles deplete you. And when you are depleted, your body will reach for what gives quick comfort. That's human, but you are not called to live on quick comfort. You are called to live on divine strength. So, instead of shaming yourself, start translating the craving. Ask, what do I actually need right now? Sometimes you don't need sugar, you need rest. Sometimes you don't need junk food, you need peace. Sometimes you don't need another snack. You need to release grief you've been carrying silently. And once you start meeting the real need, the craving loses its power. Anointed One, your temple is also connected to your confidence. You may not realize it, but when your body feels heavy, your spirit often feels less bold. You hesitate more, you shrink more, you doubt more. But when you feel clear, you stand taller, you speak with authority, you make decisions faster. And that boldness is not pride. It's alignment. It's you stepping into the version of yourself that heaven recognizes. That's why I keep telling you, this is not only about health. This is about destiny. Chosen One, make it practical this week. Choose one thing you already know, dims you, and remove it for a short window. Replace it with something simple that nourishes you. You don't need perfection to see a shift. You need honesty. And as you do, pay attention to the spiritual signs. Does your prayer become easier? Do your dreams become clearer? Do you feel less anxious? Do you sense people more accurately? Do you feel less pulled toward drama? Those are signs your signal is returning. And let me seal this with a prophetic declaration. Chosen One. As you honor your temple, your discernment will sharpen. As your discernment sharpens, your decisions will align. As your decisions align, doors will open that were previously hidden. Favor will locate you. Opportunities will recognize you. And the financial transfer you've been sensing will not just arrive, it will stay, because you will have the clarity to steward it. Chosen One, listen carefully, because there is a layer to this warning that many people overlook. The enemy does not only tempt you with obvious destruction, sometimes he tries to keep you spiritually average. And one of the easiest ways to keep an anointed one average is to keep them constantly consumed, constantly dulled, constantly managing symptoms, instead of walking in authority. When your energy is low, you tolerate what you were meant to confront. When your mind is foggy, you call confusion normal. When your body feels heavy, you start shrinking your vision to fit your comfort. But you were not called to live small. You were called to live sharp, because you are moving toward a season of supernatural increase, and increase demands clarity. Anointed One, I want you to see the unseen war behind appetite and patterns, because sometimes it isn't only the food itself, it's what the cycle does to your spirit. A pattern of reaching for what numbs you, a pattern of rewarding stress with something that drains you later, a pattern of saying, I'll start tomorrow, while tomorrow keeps moving. That cycle is not just physical, it becomes spiritual delay. And delay is expensive for a chosen one because your life is timed. Your doors are timed. Your favor is timed. Your promotions are timed. This is why you feel that inner urgency when you hear messages like this. Your spirit recognizes you are too close to breakthrough to stay casual. You are standing near a divine transfer, and the enemy would rather distract you with comfort than let you walk into covenant-level provision with a clear mind and a steady heart. Chosen one. I have watched people miss divine moments because their discernment was crowded out by noise and heaviness. God often speaks in the subtle, a nudge, a hesitation, a quiet check in your spirit, a sudden "don't go there," a gentle call that person. But if your system is overloaded, you will mistake God's whisper for your own imagination. You will drown revelation in static. And the enemy loves static because it makes you second-guess the very voice that would have saved you years. I'm telling you this from real experience. There were times I thought I needed more prayer when what I really needed was less fog. I remember sitting down after certain meals and feeling my patience thin out, my peace dim, my focus scatter, and I blamed everything stress, people, even myself. Then I started tracking the pattern honestly. I asked, do I feel clearer or heavier after this? When I began honoring that signal, it was like my spiritual senses came back online. My mornings felt cleaner. My sleep started restoring me again. I could sit in silence without restlessness. I started noticing red flags faster. I started hearing direction faster. That's not hype, chosen one. That's alignment. Anointed one here is what makes this prophetic. The transfer you are sensing is not only money. It is access. It is doors. It is favor in rooms you never had entry to before. It is opportunities that require you to be calm, discerning, and unshakable. And access always comes with testing. When doors open, distractions also appear. When favor increases, counterfeit connections increase. When money rises, manipulation tries to rise with it. That's why heaven is calling you to cleanse now, not later. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared. Scripture says it simply when it warns to stay watchful, to be sober-minded. That is not only about temptation, it's about keeping your spirit clear enough to recognize what is from God and what is bait. Chosen one, let me ground it in something practical you can feel immediately. Start with your mornings. The first hour of your day is sacred. If you begin your day with what spikes you, crashes you, and leaves you irritated, your spirit will spend the rest of the day recovering. But if you begin your day with simplicity, your spirit stays ahead of your life instead of chasing it. For some of you, that means less sugar first thing. For others, it means less processed foods, less constant snacking, less late-night eating that steals sleep. You don't need to become extreme, you need to become intentional. Because intention builds alignment, and alignment protects increase. And chosen one, be honest about this too. Some cravings are not hunger. They are comfort wearing a mask. You're trying to soothe disappointment, loneliness, pressure, or the silent burden of always being the strong one. Food becomes the easiest comfort because it's available and it never asks questions. But you are not meant to medicate your calling. So when the craving rises, pause and ask, what am I really hungry for? Sometimes you're hungry for rest. Sometimes you're hungry for peace. Sometimes you're hungry for safety. When you feed the real need, the false hunger loses its grip and your spirit starts standing tall again. Anointed one, I'm speaking over your discipline now. Your discipline is not dead, it's been attacked. And as you cleanse your temple, your discipline will return like strength returning to your bones. You will become steadier, less reactive, more decisive. And with that steadiness will come acceleration, because God can trust a clear vessel with a heavy blessing. You are not changing for approval. You are changing for access. You will not trade your destiny for temporary comfort. Your temple is coming into alignment, and as it does, your spirit will rise quietly, powerfully, and unmistakably. Chosen one. Now, I want to show you what the shift looks like when it starts happening for real, because alignment is not just a concept. It becomes evidence. The first sign is not always money in your hand. The first sign is peace in your body. You wake up and the weight that used to sit on your chest is lighter. Your thoughts slow down. Your spirit feels present again. You stop needing constant stimulation just to feel okay. That is a major victory, because a calm mind is a prophetic mind. A settled heart is a receiving heart. And when your inner world becomes quiet, you begin to notice how loud God has been trying to speak. Anointed one. The second sign is discernment returning in everyday moments. You start sensing when something is off without forcing it. You begin to recognize who is genuine and who is performing. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop begging for clarity from people, because clarity is rising inside you. I've lived this. There was a time I would walk into a room and second-guess everything I felt. Then, when I began honoring my temple, the guessing stopped. I could feel the atmosphere. I could feel the motive behind words. Not in paranoia, but in accuracy. And that accuracy protected me from agreements that looked good, but were spiritually expensive. Chosen one. The third sign is that your prayer life becomes simpler and stronger. You don't need perfect words. You don't need hours of striving. You speak and you feel heaven respond. Not because you became better, but because the static lowered, the signal cleared. And that is where many of you are headed. Some of you have been saying, God, why do I feel blocked? And heaven has been saying, remove what is interfering. When you do, you will notice you are not fighting for connection the way you used to. The connection is there. It was always there. You were just carrying too much density. Anointed one, this is also where the financial shift begins to form. Because when discernment returns, you make smarter choices. You stop spending to soothe emotions. You stop ignoring opportunities because you're tired. You start noticing ideas that can become income. You start taking actions you've delayed for years. You start showing up with confidence, and people respond to confidence. Contracts respond to clarity. Favor responds to alignment. The transfer doesn't only come as a miracle drop. Often it comes as God positioning you to recognize what He's already placed around you. Chosen one. I'm going to give you a simple practice that seals this season. Before you eat, pause for 5 seconds. Not to be religious, to be aware. Ask, will this lift me or lower me? And if you don't know, test it with honesty. Pay attention afterward. Your body will tell you, your spirit will tell you. Then, at night, ask God for a clean dream. Ask for clarity. Ask for instruction. And watch how quickly your inner world responds when your temple is no longer fighting what you keep feeding it. Anointed one, you are being prepared for increase that won't break you. You are being shaped for promotion that won't corrupt you. You are being refined for provision that won't distract you. And as you keep choosing alignment over appetite, you will feel it, your signal rising, your peace deepening, and your path becoming unmistakably clear. Chosen one. I need you to hear this with your spirit, not just your mind, because what God is doing in you right now is deeper than changing a menu. It is changing a frequency. There is a level of clarity that belongs to you, and it has been waiting on your agreement. Some of you have carried a quiet grief because you remember how sharp you used to be. You remember when your intuition was instant, when your dreams spoke clearly, when your prayers felt alive and your discernment felt like a compass. Then life got heavy, stress, increased convenience became normal, and slowly the sensitivity that made you dangerous started feeling distant. But I'm telling you, Anointed One, it didn't die. It was covered. And what God covers, He can uncover when the time is right. This is that moment. Heaven is not shaming you. Heaven is summoning you. Because you are stepping into a season where spiritual sharpness will be connected to financial acceleration. Your next level of provision requires you to see clearly, decide quickly, and stay steady when others panic. Chosen One. There is a reason this message is hitting you now. It's because you are close to a door, and doors are spiritual before they are physical. Before you ever walk into a new room, God prepares your inner posture so you don't enter it with old hunger. Some of you have been praying for money, but what you really need first is mastery. Not mastery over people, but mastery over impulse. Because impulse can destroy what increase is trying to build. I've watched this in real life. I've seen people get a breakthrough job, then sabotage it with exhaustion, mood swings, and patterns that made them unreliable. I've seen people receive unexpected money and then spend it on comfort because they were still carrying pain they never processed. And I've had to face it in myself too, Chosen One. There was a season I kept asking God for a bigger open door, and He kept dealing with my daily habits. It felt small at first, but then I understood God was protecting me from receiving a blessing I couldn't sustain. He was building the kind of vessel that can hold overflow without leaking it through anxiety, cravings, and distraction. Anointed One, the warfare is not always in dramatic places. Sometimes it's in the small compromises you repeat. The late-night eating that steals your sleep. The quick meal that spikes your body and crashes your mood. The habit that makes you feel temporarily comforted and then spiritually distant. And because you are chosen, you notice the distance. You feel prayer become heavier. You feel peace become thinner. You feel your patience shorten. You feel your mind become noisier. That is not random. That is your spirit refusing to live below the sensitivity God designed you for. Like a high-quality instrument cannot be thrown into a dirty environment without losing its sound. Your temple cannot be treated casually without affecting your signal. But here is the hope: the sound returns when the environment is purified. The signal returns when the interference is removed. Your authority returns when the static is reduced. Chosen One. Stop thinking of food as only pleasure and start seeing it as a spiritual agreement. Every time you eat, you partner with a frequency. You allow something to enter your system and influence your energy, your mood, your focus, your dreams, and your emotional stability. That is why the enemy loves to keep you in the cycle of, "I'll deal with it later," because later turns into years. But you can break it now because your season is demanding it. You are not being called into restriction. You are being called into refinement. You are not losing anything. You are gaining clarity. You are not being deprived. You are being positioned. Because when the wealth transfer comes, it won't only come with money. It will come with responsibility, visibility, and choices that reveal who you are. And God is ensuring you won't need comfort to function. You will carry peace. You will carry restraint. You will be able to sit in abundance without losing discipline, walk in favor without losing humility, and be promoted without becoming distracted. Anointed One, let me speak to what's underneath this, because some of you are not just eating for taste, you're eating to survive your emotions. You have been carrying stress that nobody sees, absorbing people's energy, fighting battles silently. Food becomes the quickest way to feel something good when life feels heavy. I understand that, chosen one. But hear me, comfort is not the same as healing. Comfort soothes you for 10 minutes and then leaves you weaker. Healing may be uncomfortable at first, but it restores your strength. So the next time you reach for what you already know, lowers you, pause and ask, what am I really trying to soothe? Name it, and you take your power back. Chosen one. I'm declaring this over you now. Your appetite will come under divine government. Your cravings will not control you. Your body will become a partner to your purpose, not a battlefield you keep managing. As you choose alignment, your sleep will deepen, your mind will quiet, your dreams will sharpen, and your discernment will return. And as discernment returns, you'll start making decisions that feel effortless but are actually prophetic, avoiding traps, noticing opportunities, and stepping into increase with wisdom that can sustain it. Chosen one. Now we bring this into the moment where you make it real, because revelation without action becomes frustration. You already know what dims you. You already know the foods that leave you heavy, irritable, foggy, or spiritually distant. The question is not whether you have the information. The question is whether you will honor the signal. Heaven is not asking you to become perfect overnight. Heaven is asking you to become obedient in small ways that produce big shifts. This is how your next season opens, not by a sudden burst of motivation, but by a quiet decision to stop feeding what keeps you low. Anointed one. I want you to treat the next 7 days like a consecration window, simple, practical, quiet, not for applause, not for control, but for alignment. Remove one thing that you know interferes with your peace, just one. Replace it with something clean and simple that nourishes you. And then watch what happens in your spirit. Watch how your sleep responds. Watch how your patience responds. Watch how your mind responds. The first breakthrough you're going to notice is not money, it's clarity. And clarity is a form of wealth because it saves you from expensive mistakes. It protects your relationships. It keeps you from wasting time. It keeps you from entering agreements God never signed. Chosen. 1. This is also why the enemy fights your discipline, because your discipline is the bridge between prophecy and possession. Many people can receive a word. Not everyone can hold the lifestyle that keeps the word alive. But you can. Your spirit is already leaning toward obedience, and that's why you're here. So when cravings rise, don't panic. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this hunger or is this emotion? If it's emotion, name it. Stress, loneliness, pressure, disappointment. Once you name it, you stop being controlled by it. Then you can choose wisely instead of reacting. That small pause is spiritual authority. That pause is you taking back your temple. Anointed one, I'm speaking directly to your destiny now. The financial transfer you've been sensing will require a steady you, not a scattered you, a clear you, not a foggy you, a disciplined you, not an impulsive you. Because when God increases your access, you will be offered things that look good, but aren't God. You will meet people who want to ride your favor. You will face decisions that test your character, and the best protection is a clear spirit, a calm mind, a stable body. That's why this warning is mercy. God is preparing you to carry more without breaking. Chosen one, as you start honoring your temple, your spiritual gifts will awaken in a grounded way. Not for show, not for ego, but for guidance. Your dreams will become instructive. Your intuition will become sharper. Your discernment will become quicker. And you will start feeling the presence of God in ordinary moments again, while driving, while working, while eating, because your life is becoming a clean place for heaven to rest. And I seal this over you as you choose alignment. Favor will locate you. The right doors will open. The right people will recognize you. And the increase coming to your life will not be temporary, it will be sustained, because you will be ready to steward it with clarity, peace, and holy discipline. Chosen one, breathe and let this seal settle over you. Your body is a divine instrument, and tonight, heaven is recalibrating it for higher frequencies. I declare the static is breaking, the heaviness is lifting, and your inner signal is returning. This is your kairos, your appointed moment, where alignment meets reward. A supernatural transfer is already moving toward you. Wisdom before wealth, peace before promotion, and favor that cannot be explained. Stay faithful in the small choices. Stay clean in your spirit. Stay grateful even before you see it, because gratitude is a key that keeps the door open. May God strengthen your discipline, sharpen your discernment, and guard your heart from every counterfeit craving. May your sleep become restorative, your dreams become instructive, and your steps become ordered. As you honor your temple, doors will open, right people will align, and provision will locate you without striving. You will not miss your moment. You will not waste your increase. You will steward it with humility and power. If this word confirmed you, type revelation in the comments as your agreement. And if you feel led, subscribe and share, so another anointed one finds this message at the exact time heaven intended.